khutbah is going to be a little bit maybe away from the context, but I see it's one of the important aspects in any small communities to understand from the Sahaba time and from our time as well. Most of us, as misunderstanding that happens to Muslims sometimes, we think about the first early society or Muslim society in the Prophet time ﷺ, that the Sahaba they were only poor people, they don't have anything, they were very naive, doesn't know anything about creating a society, which actually the opposite of the reality. Let me start with one of the main objectives that we saw in the Prophet ﷺ time as soon as he ﷺ established the Medina and the first society, Muslim society. And the Prophet ﷺ made the brotherhood among Muslims. This was very important aspect to see immigrants and indigenous people, as we call them in our modern time, how they became one coherent society. Brotherhood went in a level that I don't think any of the world experience has been ever had. That it became a real brotherhood. So, for example, when Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he came to Medina, he is one of the 10 people who promised Jannah, as we know. And he was the brother with Sa'd ibn Rabi'. So to see that level that Sa'd ibn Rabi' received Abdurrahman ibn Auf, that's his brother now, and tell him, this is my house, I will split it between you and me. This is my property, my land, I will split it between me and you. I have these wives and I will divorce some of them or one of them, and you can have a wife. That level, I don't think any of the humanity reached that level. This is immigrant person who doesn't have anything. And that doesn't mean they were poor. Abdurrahman ibn Auf is one of the richest Sahaba, and he left everything. So those people who are receiving the Sahaba, the immigrants, they know many of them were very, very rich, but they left everything for Allah. So to become a generous for somebody that left everything behind because of their religion, that's your duty as Muslim. But do you see how Abdurrahman ibn Auf said, may Allah bless your house, your property, your wives and everything, just keep everything. And he said, فقط دلني على السوق. دلني على السوق. Sometimes when we interpret it or translate it, we say like, as if it's point me to the market. Which, dullani, it means guide me to the market. So he didn't accept anything, but he asked for one only thing, guidance. And it's rare. When you came here as a student or as an immigrant or whatever, you came here, the only thing you are eager to have is a trustworthy or authentic guidance from somebody who really interested to do that for you because he is asking for Allah's reward, nothing else. So he asked him only for guidance. And I don't think, although the story doesn't tell us a lot about that Sa'd ibn Rabi' just took his hand and told him, oh, this is the market. I don't think this is real, convincing to anybody. Probably because he was interested to give him half of his money, so he would probably explain to him, this is the market for Jewish people, this is the market for that people, this is the market, how they are selling, how they are buying, what is the best things to trade in. That's the guidance that anybody knows. In our societies now, we are hungry for those people who can take your hand and guide you in a way or another. That you are not asking sometimes for any help or for any financial help, but you asking them how I can navigate getting a job, secure a job, how I can navigate to do a business, how I can navigate in this society ethically and morally. This is more complicated than just giving somebody a charity. And this is the whole point of brotherhood that the Prophet ﷺ made in the society. And we saw Abdurrahman ibn Auf, he becomes the richest, one of the richest Sahaba afterwards. In less than few years, he became the richest. So subhanAllah, Yes, you can have a very strong ability that it just needs guidance sometimes. But Sahaba was naive. Some of the Sahaba, the richest, like Uthman ibn Affan, for example, he was one of the richest. We know that. If you go to Mecca now, you will find endowment in the name of Uthman, till now, 14th century. It's there. It wasn't something happened by chance. When you read about the Sahaba in the very early stage of their society, it was very challenging. So what did Uthman, who has a lot of money, help the society? One of those very interesting stories is about Bi'r Ruma, the well of Ruma. And this well was a place that you can get water, but the problem was owned by a Jewish man. And it was very hard to buy a gallon of water from them for affordable money. And Uthman heard from the Prophet ﷺ about charity, about helping, or from the Quran, مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يُقْرِضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا فَيُضَاعِفَهُ لَهُ أَضْعَافًا كَثِيرًا. So who is going to give for Allah? But when he offered to buy the well, the person said, no, I cannot sell you that well. This is all my wealth. This is like a lot of wealth. And he negotiated with his ability of a businessman. And he came with this plan. So what did he do? He convinced this person that he wants to do a business. And he knows this man is a businessman. He has a lot of property. He is a very famous businessman at that time. So he convinced him to buy half of the wealth. And one day will be for you, and one day will be for me. So one day, this person will sell the water, and one day will be for Uthman. And he sold it for a ton amount of money that even the Muslim society can afford. So if not Uthman, he has this initiative to help this community, it wouldn't happen. They cannot get a gallon of water, and you know what that means in a desert to have water, to drink. So Uthman bought this half of the well. And what did he do? The next day, as soon as they're done with the contract and he has the half of the well, he made his day for free for Muslims. So if you have one day for free and one day for ton amounts of money to buy, would you ever go in that day that you have to pay money? No. So all the Muslims goes to the day when Uthman has owned the half of the well, took them the water for free. And he did it for Allah. And his intention from the beginning to do that for Allah. But this person was blocking it because he owns it. He has power. And in Islam, it's not because I have soldiers or I have whatever weapon I have, I go and take your property and do whatever I want. No. He traded it. He gave his more than he deserved actually for the whole well, for just half of the well. And he made it free for the Muslims one day. So afterwards, this person told Uthman, oh my gosh, you ruined my business, man. Why do you do that? You are a man of business. You know how much you can get from this well. Why do you make it for free? And he told me, who told you it's for free? I have another man who gave me money. I said, who is that? And he said, would you be able to give me 100 times of the interest you get from your well? And no. He said, Allah gives me more than that. At this point, the guy like, okay, just buy the other half, whatever we agree about, because it's useless now for me. And Uthman bought the whole well and put it for Allah and for the Muslim society. Sometimes we need guidance. Sometimes we need people, elderly people, to help us to navigate. And sometimes we need those expertise in every field to guide the society or community to see where they are and where they are going. Everybody of us can help and can contribute, but they need to know where and when. And the only thing that I know from our history, that brotherhood that neglected all ethnicity, all languages, all the color, was the power that we had. And as soon as we return back, we will have the strongest community or society anywhere that can provide, not only for Muslims, but for others. Because our mission is not like Jews, for example, that they have to have their own, to just keep their own society. No, our mission in this world for the humanity. So it's not just for Muslims, it's for everybody. And we know about Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the fifth righteous Khalifa. When he reached that level that he had already spread all the charity for everybody, and everybody he asked him, like, is there any poor? They said, no, you don't have any poor. And he ruled probably between China now, what we know as China, to like France. like more than half the world at that time. And he searched for any poor, there is no poor. And he said, okay, search for anybody who wants to get married and give them help. And everybody get married. And he said like, okay, now so for anybody from any religion, from even non-religious people, give them charity. Everybody satisfied. What's next? He said, just take food and put it above every mountain so the birds can eat. Do you see how much level of humanity? Other empires, when they saw that wheat became more like expensive, or it's gonna be if we put a lot of wheat in the market, it's gonna be collapsed and it's gonna be very cheap. They throw it in the sea, in the ocean, because they didn't want the poor people to be able to afford wheat. And we know about that. In Islam, it's no. We are caring about not only ourselves, but for everybody. And Umar ibn Abdul Aziz ruled 2.5 years. Sometimes when we read about him, we feel like he ruled probably like 20, 30 years. He ruled 2.5 years. Only 2.5 years. And they reached that level because of justice, because of they care about people before anything else. We have, in our modern time, when we talk about that, we feel like, oh, that was the past, we will never have something like that. We have real incidents that happened just a decade ago or 2 decades ago in our societies. One of them in Bangladesh, one of them in Egypt, for example, as I know there will be more about that. But if you read about Salah Atiyah, for example, Dr. Salah Atiyah in Egypt, this person started from nowhere. He was trying to build his own business. And he was trying to see whatever who can contribute with very little money. And there were 9 people agreed to open the business. And they were searching for the 10th, and they didn't know anybody else. So he got the idea. Okay, guys, we're going to put all our money on the line, but the 10th share is not going to be ours, it's going to be Allah. So everything, interest we get from, or profit from this business, one of the 10th shares is going to be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he started, and he said like, it gets more money, we're getting more, the business goes viral, we're getting more money, so we started to think about how we can make it bigger. So they made the business bigger. And some people were trying to get out of the business, so he said like, okay, I'm gonna buy more shares, but one, like if somebody selling 2 shares, 1 share for me and 1 share for Allah. And he reached the level, he said like, it's more than I expect from this business, that I will put 90% of the business for Allah and only 10% for himself. And he went to the poor villages and asked them, do you want to deal with Allah? Do you want to give qard to Allah? Do you want to do the endowment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking you to do? Okay, share with me. This is only 10%, will return back to you, but the 90% will be for Allah. With very small little help and a very small village in Egypt that nobody knows about. This village became now a very known place in not just Egypt, in everywhere. We have at least 2,000 international students study in this village right now in Al-Azhar College. So they wanted to know how to make something in the community. So they started with a school, elementary school. And then they started to make small businesses for people, help with them, have small business. And then he said like, okay, why don't we ask for something better? Why don't we ask Al-Azhar to make a college in this town? And they said, no, we can't, because there is no any trains, that station that goes to this village. So they go to the governorate and they made a deal to have a station built by this business, by them, by people. So they helped with all what they were doing to build a facility, a school, a college. Now when you go there, all the people, there is no poor person in this town because of how they came together. And we have other stories from other people, how when we come to a community and we have guidance and we have the opportunity to serve for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, neglecting all our differences, it makes us as strong as it can. And the story from Bangladesh is about Muhammad Yunus, which a lot of people may know about it, and we'll talk about it in the second khutbah. Jazakumullahu khairan. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله تعظيما لشانه ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله والداعي إلى رضوانه ونصلي ونسلم عليه وعلى أصحابه وأتباعه وأقرانه وبعد. So this khutbah is dedicated of rethinking about our history and how the Sahaba were not naive. They built a society and they built a state by coming together in a brotherhood. And how Abdurrahman ibn Auf have been guided in the market to become the richest. And how Uthman was using his business skills to help the community to be able to afford water and so on. One of these incredible stories that just happened in our time, Dr. Professor Muhammad Yunus, who built the microeconomic helping families in Bangladesh, and it went in all over the world. He started with thinking about those people who ask for help sometimes and they have nobody, or banks are not interested to help them. And he started to think how he could help those people. And he started with just microfinance, giving those people very small loans with free interest. So that you just need to get back this loan again. And a lot of people in the West, when they think about that, they go, you are naive. Who is gonna guarantee that people will get back to you with any money? Now, recently, this organization has at least $23 billion investment for more than 9 million families around the globe, with 90% return of the loans, 90%. These numbers is incredibly insane for some people who doesn't know about Islam. The Prophet ﷺ says, whoever من اقترض أموال الناس يريد أداءها أدى الله عنه ومن اقترض أموال الناس يريد إتلافها أتلفه الله. So the Prophet ﷺ made this rule: whoever take loan or borrow money from somebody and their intention to return it back, Allah will increase their money and will help them to return it back. And whoever take money to destroy it, Allah will destroy him or her. So this is our tradition, that when you borrow money, you as fast as you can to return it back. And in the other side, how our Islam asking us to help each other with free interest loans. The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever gives somebody loan for free, it's equal to that he put this money for charity. So you actually taking back your money, but also you consider to have the same rewards as if you put it for Allah's sake. Not that just that, but if you delayed that person who borrowed the money for any amount of time, the Prophet said every single day equals to the same amount. So imagine that you lend somebody $1,000 for a month, and after a month you ask him, hey, are you gonna give me my $1,000 back? And he said, can you just delay me for a little bit? So if he gives you the money back in the same time, you get as soon as if you spent $1,000 for Allah. But if you delay them for a week, for example, that means 7 days. So you spend $1,000 for Allah plus $7,000 for Allah. So it equals for 1 week, delaying 1 week, that you spend for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala $8,000. Why would the Prophet ﷺ and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want us to help each other in that way? Because charity, it's not supposed to be the main principle in Islam. The Sahaba said about the Prophet ﷺ, كَانَ إِذَا أَعْطَى أَغْنَى. When he gives, he makes rich. So that mentality, sometimes we think about, okay, I need just to give charity. No, you are building some families or some businesses that gives you in return charity instead of giving them charity. The Prophet ﷺ taught people, guided people how to even go to the market. When this very young man came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him for help, I need charity. And he told him, what do you do for a living? Nothing. I don't do anything. The Prophet ﷺ asked him, he has a family. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him, do you have anything that you can sell? Do you think the Prophet ﷺ didn't have enough money to give this person? Do you think the Prophet ﷺ didn't have the ability to ask the Sahaba to give him probably a lot of money? He did it for other people who came in doubt and asked for charity, and he said, okay, do you see all these sheep between two mountains? Take it. So this is incident for people who are doubting the Prophet. But when he found somebody is eager to know, the Prophet ﷺ asked him, okay, he only has a big pot and a rope. And he asked him, go get them. And he did, as in Arabic it's a hids. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him to sell this big pot that he has, and he sold the pot for probably 2 dinars. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him to take one and spend it on your family, and the other one you go and buy an axe, and you have a rope, and you go, and he told him, don't return back except after a week. So go to the wilderness, get as much as you can, some woods, and return back. So he didn't tell him go one day, he told him a week. So he's training this person how to have a job, how to have an opening opportunity. And this person came, and the Prophet asked him, go to the market, sell them. And now you have known a skill, not just a charity. So that's why we need to encourage ourselves in our communities to build ourselves by putting our effort in the right way, to come together in the right way, to have this inspiration from people in the past and the recent world to know that yes, we can have a strong community. We have to depend on businesses and investments and have more stability than it's just some people who has money give for charity and that's it, you can eat and drink. And I know some of the elders people and here in this community have been working on something like that. They are trying to build a financial fund for this community that is not targeting charity, but they are targeting to help startups in this community, to help the community to stand and feel that they are supported if they need legally or financially. Something that a fund that can have a strong revenue to this community from young to older. But not just at this point, it needs to go farther for those who has expertise. Somebody who come here and wants to know how he can become a teacher or a professor or a doctor. We have expertise here. So we need to connect people. Some people has already established businesses and they are very successful. How can we help each other? Because this is what will remain in your hasanat and reward in the hereafter. In the hereafter, it's not the charity you put for somebody is very valuable. That somebody will eat and drink, yes. But if you help somebody to read, to navigate, to find a job, to open a business, this will be in your hasanat as soon as this business or this person has this thing. It's like building a masjid. When you build a masjid, what's your intention? Because everybody who will pray in this masjid will have reward and my hasanat until the day of judgment, until this masjid will be collapsed or something happen. Imagine that in our religion, as-sajid qabla al-masajid, the person before the walls. The Prophet ﷺ says that the Kaaba, the most precious place in the world, in Hajj, in Arafah, it's not equal one blood of Muslim. The person, that's why the scholar says, the person, the human being, is more precious in Allah's sight more than any building. So when you invest on this community, on ourselves, as soon as we're stronger enough, we can spread our strongest values to other communities around the state or even to other states. And this is what Salah Atiyah did, or Muhammad Yunus did, or in the previous times. A lot of people go to Egypt now and see how many endowments, or in Pakistan or India or anywhere, how big endowments that has been allocated, that have been spending money on people and returning back to people and serving the community. That will last forever. So it's my advice for myself and for everybody to start thinking bigger, to support each other, to neglect our differences ideologically or color or any language. Leave this behind. Work for this community. If you love Allah and His Messenger, do something for those people, to invest in them, that they will be stable forever and their families in this religion, and it will be in your records. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وعلى طاعتك أعنا ومن شرار خلقك سلمنا وإلى غيرك لا تكلنا ومن بركاتك لا تحرمنا. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار.